Canes fan, what's going on? It's your boy Cam Underwood back with another Hurricanes video here at the Voice of College Football. So welcome back to everybody. And you see that I'm sharing the screen with a good buddy of mine, Fred Perdue. We used to have a podcast together, and we're always talking about Miami Hurricanes on the phone. So I figured we bring that phone conversation to you. Fred, what's going on, man?
Cam, what's going on? The band is back together again.
I know, right, man? So we're basically just going to chop it up. Today we're talking about the NFL Draft Combine, specifically about the Miami Hurricanes. So I promise you, I will mute you if you try to shoehorn in there any other dudes, because you know you love bringing up.
Not even.
No.
All right.
Nope. You love bringing up players from your NFL team, you know, from that place that we're not talking about.
Oh, that place.
Love bringing up the comparisons of other guys. We're not doing that. We talk about the Miami Hurricanes today. So I got my finger on the mute button if I need it. So I'll do it.
I'll be good. I promise. I promise.
All right,
all about you,
cool.
baby.
All right, all about the you. You already know how it goes. So did a video already kind of outlining the 10 guys who are going and whatnot. We're going to talk about what you are looking to see from these guys. So, like, obviously, you're a Canes fan and everything. You know, like I said, we used to have a podcast together. Also big into NFL roster building, NFL fan, NFL draft processing. Fred, you know, previously has been to the Senior Bowl and talked to executives and things like that, you know, knows several people who work in the league still to this day. So this is why I wanted to bring you on for that kind of bridge going from college to the NFL, right? So out of the 10 guys who are going to the draft, and that list again, if you needed it, was Cam Ward, Damien Martinez, Xavier Restrepo, Sam Brown, Jacobe George, Elijah Arroyo, Jaylen Rivers, Tyler Barron, Kiko Mauigoa, and Andres Borregales. And we're going to take Cam Ward out of this because I think that's the ready-made answer. Out of the other 9 guys not named Cam Ward from Miami who are going to the Combine, who are you looking for to potentially have the biggest impact at the Combine this week?
2 biggest. For me, one has to be Elijah Arroyo. He had a amazing Senior Bowl. We've been talking about him all season, and I had a little pushback on him at the beginning of the year. I said, I'm not sure about him. The blocker, I want a tight end that can be in line. I've kind of changed on that a little bit because the tight end position is a little different now, and we can have the Travis Kelce's of the world. We can have the Jonnu Smiths of the world. Heck, we have tight ends throughout the NFL. We don't necessarily need them to be hand in the dirt blockers. They can line up outside. I'm a little bullish on it. I'm old school, but I'm adapting. I'm trying, Cam. I'm trying.
Yeah, but I think for Arroyo, he also does a good job blocking from where he is aligned. You know what I mean? Like from that number 2, number 3 slot, near the end of the offensive line, but not necessarily attached and things like that. And I mean, no, Travis Kelce is not Jason Peters, who played tight end at Arkansas and then decided, okay, I'm a cheeseburger away from 300. I'm going to not turn away that cheeseburger, go to the league and play left tackle, or Eric Winston for a Miami comparison back when he was a tight end recruit coming out and then ended up as an offensive tackle in the league for many, many years. I'm not saying that he's that kind of blocker, but he's not Evan Ingram. You know, he's not a guy who just gets run over in the run game.
There's effort there. There's definite effort there. There's a willingness to, even if he isn't. I think it's more of a technique thing. He drops his head so often, and it's borderline scary.
Okay. So that's your coaching point then for development. If you are able to change that, then there's a good solid blocker there, you believe?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. And you know, this is a guy who I was, you know, writing my Combine preview. So if you remember the touchdown against Georgia Tech, we were just talking about it the other day, when the ball kind of found him and he's sprinting, right? He clocked 21.8 miles per hour on that sprint. Did Elijah Arroyo at 6'5", 251, verified measurement from the Senior Bowl. How many players in the NFL last season clocked faster sprint times than that Elijah Arroyo touchdown? I know the answer, by the way.
I know the answer too, and he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Nope.
And
nope.
No, really?
Nope.
Please enlighten me.
Really? So But again, how many? Because there is a many answer. So how many players do you think clocked a faster time on a sprint in the NFL?
In the NFL. 3. Because there's fast and then there's that kind of fast.
6.
I gave okay.
And Xavier Worthy, who I know you're thinking of, his fastest time was 21.47. So not even as fast on his top sprint as Elijah Arroyo. And if you want the full list, Kavonte Turpin had 22.36 and 21.85. Brian Thomas Jr., 22.15. My boy, Jahmyr Gibbs, 22.03. Saquon Barkley, 21.93 and 21.91.
Probably should have been MVP. Okay.
Nico Collins, 21.89 miles per hour.
That's a name I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed that.
You're welcome. And the last was James Cook, Miami native, for the Buffalo Bills, 21.85 miles per hour. That's the entire list of players who clocked a faster time on a sprint in a game than Elijah Arroyo. And all none of them are near 6'5", 251.
All significantly smaller, all skill guy. Well, tight end skill guy, but different type of skill guy. And one a kick returner who's in open space 90% of the time. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the kind of athleticism that Elijah Arroyo brings. So that leads me then to my next question about Arroyo. Over under 4.55. What does he run in the 40? Which is a little bit different than his long speed, but still.
Yeah.
What are we talking? What are we thinking?
I've settled in on about anywhere between like 4.57 and 4.6 flat. I think his game speed is a little different, but still for a tight end, that's moving. It's not Vernon Davis moving. I don't think anybody's Vernon Davis moving. And
what do you run, 4.39?
Something crazy like that. Yeah. Something just outrageous. I don't think you're going to get that kind of outrageous, but I think it's going to be, if not the fastest, probably it's 1 or 2. I don't think anybody. There's only one other tight end, and we can't. I'm not saying any other names because this is a Miami thing. So, but there's only one other one that I can think of, and I think you know who I'm talking about, that could run something close.
Okay. So I know that I cut you off to kind of dive deep on Elijah Arroyo. So you said that that's one of your 2 potential standouts in the non-Cam Ward division from the Hurricanes who are going to the draft. Who's the other one?
Damien Martinez. This running back class is so deep that he gets forgotten sometimes. I saw the first half of the season. I was like, we paid for that. Oof. And then they had that talk after Cal, and 1,000 yards in a shared backfield, running through people. You saw what happened in the bowl game. I did too. And he might, because of the depth, I think he's going to be one of those guys that falls 4th round, and you're going to get a steal because you just can't teach that type of size. But also you can't teach those wheels because, quite honestly, when he's in the open field, there's not many people that catch him from behind. And that we saw that. We actually saw it. Yeah. And that offense, as much as Cam Ward was the big fish, Damien Martinez was a big piece of that offense.
He was huge in that offense, a verified 5'11" and an eighth, 226 pounds, I believe, at the Senior Bowl. He has feet. Like, he's nimble. It's not the same.
For that size.
For that size. I admonished you from bringing in players who didn't play at Miami, so I'm not going to do that. But there was one whose nickname is a form of public transportation, who wore number 33 from Detroit, Michigan.
I know. I know.
And he, for a big boy, had feet. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Even though he went to Notre Dame, that person. So you can kind of put all that together. I know. We're not going to go there. Not going to go there. Anyways. Yeah. And my other fun fact here for Damien Martinez, how many players had a higher PFF grade on their run plays than Damien Martinez did in 2020?
He had a good season, boy.
So PFF grades for performance on runs, how many players in America had a higher PFF grade than Damien Martinez?
I'm just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of some guy at an ACC school that didn't have a quarterback, since I can't say names, and some guy that was at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Those are the only two I can honestly, and maybe the one that won in the desert out in Arizona, but otherwise I can't think of anybody else.
So your answer is
three.
One.
Wow.
The only player with a higher PFF grade on their dictated run plays was Ashton Genty.
Wow. Okay, so I was right about one. I was right on at least one. Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
Like, I mean, he was the one. So
and he was the Heisman Trophy candidate.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, okay, all these other guys and all these other places, no other player in America at running back had a higher performance grade on their running plays than did Damien Martinez. So, you know, hey, we'll see how he fits. I think that I'm with you that he could be a maybe 4th or 5th round pick, especially with the devaluation of the running back position coming from college to the NFL. But, you know, he had his lowest number of carries in college this past year. He ran for 1,000 yards every single year, super high grade, super high performance, and was Miami's 5th leading receiver as well out of the backfield. So this is a guy I think that can really be a firm part of a successful NFL running back rotation.
You allude to the hands out of the backfield. So low key, actually, as you say, high key. Okay. He was very surprising out of the backfield catching the ball, because I didn't really catch that from him at that other school out in Oregon. Even though he was the heartbeat of that team, even when certain quarterbacks transferred there and made their careers look a little better. He was. I mean, he has soft hands for, and granted, he's not lining up out wide. He's not and running real routes, but there's something to be said to be that safety valve when the play breaks down. And he can do that. He can definitely do it. Yeah. Do I expect him to get 60 catches a season? No, not at all. 15, 20, sure. Right. In a shared backfield, sure.
Shared backfield, maybe a block and release on a pass play, and looking downfield, it ain't there, kind of a thing. Hit him in the flat, let him go. Every
Cam
now
Ward
and then, put him on a Texas route, linebacker.
Cam Ward sitting around, just chilling, blow a kiss to his girlfriend in the stands. A few seconds later, just flip it out like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know people are wanting us to talk about the quarterback, and you just mentioned him, so that feels like a great transition.
That's my quarterback.
This is my quarterback. The best quarterback in America led us to the number 1 offense in America. So we're recording this on Monday the 24th. The combine does not start until Thursday, and then quarterbacks are not supposed to perform until Saturday, I don't believe. We've not heard officially from Cam Ward at this point. Do you think that he's going to participate in drills in Indianapolis as we sit here on a Monday afternoon recording this?
So what I think he should do, and what I think he will do.
Oh, so stop. What do you think he should do? Do you think he should perform on field?
If you have a first round grade, don't ever. I'm not running a 40 because I'll never have to run one ever. If you want me to run one at the pro day, sure. I'm definitely not throwing to any receivers not named Xavier Restrepo because, well, I don't know these guys and I'm not going to risk anything, any questions. I will throw at my pro day where I make the script, where I control the environment. I will never advise a player that has something to lose, which Cam does. He has the first overall pick at stake right now.
Okay.
Don't do it.
So
interview, and that's it.
So even if you have 4 of your receivers on that day with Brown, Restrepo, and George and Damien Martinez, right? Because running backs, wideouts, and quarterbacks perform on the same day. So even when you're doing running back drills, you got one of your guys who was one of your leading receivers. So 4 of your top 5 receivers, 4 of your top 6, because Isaiah Horton transferred and he was in that group as well. And then, Elijah Arroyo performed on a different day. But 4 of your top 6 receivers will be there, right? And you're still saying that you believe he should not participate in on-field drills.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because they're not catching every pass. When I go home to the pro day, I'm in control of the script. I'm in control of the environment. I'm in control of basically anything. The saying, you control what you can control. That's the ultimate way of doing it. Okay. And the combine it's uncomfortable, and they praise guys that go, like when Teddy Bridgewater went. Great for him. Teddy Bridgewater was going to be a first-round pick regardless. And I know we don't want to name anybody, but that was he's like adjacent, maybe slightly. Yeah, he's Miami adjacent. So, but that was the best example. Teddy Bridgewater didn't hurt himself, but he helped himself. And if there are other quarterbacks, like somebody you like that plays for my team that had a huge arm, and that might have gotten him drafted. It might have. But in this situation, we know Cam's going to get drafted.
So
now, will he?
So what's the difference then between Cam and Teddy Bridgewater? Because you said that Teddy was going to get drafted anyway, and we know that Cam is going to get drafted and not go lower than 5 and probably top 3. You really think that there's that much of a downside?
There is, because what happens, the timing, if the timing's off with these receivers that you don't know, you know. With Restrepo, I'll give Restrepo because he's going to be the second highest drafted player. I said he'd go top 50, and you looked at me crazy, so we might get into that a little later.
Okay,
but I'm one of those believers, like with those two, you could cut the lights out. Cam could say go, and Restrepo could run a route, and Cam could throw it to him, and he all you're going to hear is, and that's the catch of the ball. That's just how it's going to be. Because they're that in tune with each other. It's like a connection. It's a connection that only certain players have. And while that's only been a year, they have that kind of connection. Bridgewater, back to him, he still had questions of arm strength. You had questions of how does he move? You have the accuracy, even though I had no questions about Teddy Bridgewater's accuracy. That was his biggest strength. But you had questions of arm strength, and you want to showcase that to the world. Cam Ward has no questions about any of that. I don't have anything to prove. I've done that for 5 years. Okay.
So that's what you believe he should do, or how it should go. What do you think he's going to do? Just a quick yes or no, because I know we're going to go on to somebody else. Do you think that he will participate in on-field drills?
No,
you don't.
No,
okay,
not at all.
So you believe, like, your belief or your viewpoint and what he actually does will be aligned, and you don't think that he should participate, correct, and you don't think that he will.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So you brought it up in the last response. Obviously, the highest drafted player is going to be Cam Ward. He's going to be the highest drafted Miami Hurricanes quarterback in 35, 40 years. Since Testaverde time, it's he's going to be the first NFL or Miami Hurricanes quarterback drafted in the top 5 rounds in 30 years. It's going to be crazy. So we know that. Who do you think is going to be second highest drafted? Arroyo, Restrepo, other?
So before the Senior Bowl, really midway through the season, I told you Restrepo would be that. I think I'm slightly changing my tune because Arroyo could sneak into that first round. Can't guarantee it, but there's a certain team in Kansas City that has an aging tight end. And how there's certain players like Xavier Worthy was like hand in glove. Yeah. This is hand in glove. He doesn't have any expectations at that point because, hey, Travis, come on back for one more year, help teach the young fella. And on top of that, we can maybe extend your career for another year or so if you want to do that. It works perfectly. It fits perfectly.
Yeah, I really think, and that's like the one team that has been whispered with Arroyo just because of that fit in the succession of the tight end position. Like he comes in, learns under 87 for a year, and then he retires, gets married to Taylor Swift, and then Elijah Arroyo steps into the starting role. Like it's a perfect end of his career in a time when he decides to step away. Travis Kelce in that. I think that's the very, 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 very highest ceiling for him. For Arroyo, I think it'll be between Arroyo and Restrepo as to who the second highest drafted Miami Hurricane is. I think both of them. I think especially with Arroyo being healthy, and the thing is, if he passes his medicals for his knee at the combine, which I believe he is going to, you see the impact he can have. He lost 2 years at Miami to knee issues, played fewer than 1,000 total snaps in his 4 years at Miami, did Elijah Arroyo, but healthy, you saw what it is. We already talked about the fact that there's a literal handful of players who ran faster sprints in game, and even other guys who have run 4.2, 4.25, type 40s on field in game didn't apply that speed in the same way as Elijah Arroyo. So yeah, I think his athletic ceiling is something that's going to entice a team. And then Restrepo, he's just such a technician in the slot, man. He's
absolutely
always open. He doesn't drop the ball, even though he fumbled it at Syracuse.
Anyway, Cam, you have been killing this man. Let this man live.
I'm just not going to shy away from it. Y'all been letting that man slide, and I just want to bring up, if that had been Jacobe George, nobody would have ever let him slide for that. Just like I don't let
Jacobe George does things after the play.
Hey, I got to mention it, bro. I got to mention it. And then Damien Martinez, we think maybe 4th or 5th. Jacobe George, what are we thinking pre-combine where he might fall?
I think Jacobe George is going to run really well. I mean, you can see it. I think the routes are going to be just want to say this because I've been saying it since I've seen it. Yeah. He makes players that wear 21 touch earth a lot. And I think his quickness in and out of breaks is going to be something that teams are going to like. But ultimately, I think his character flaws are so bad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Cam, I know you do because we reference Syracuse, Miami versus Syracuse at the end of the season this year. And I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Look, but at the same time, character flaws, but I will say, like, he does some stuff on the field in terms of these personal foul penalties that just makes you scratch your head. Like there was a defensive back who was jawing at Jacobe George, and as Jacobe George kind of like dove for a ball and gets up off the turf, and this man put the crown of his helmet and headbutts up under this guy's chin, right? And I saw it as it happened. I go, oh my God! I'm tweeting about it on everything. And Fred and other people try to tell me, man, nah.
I tried.
No, nah. He headbutted that man clear as day.
Yeah.
As a fifth-year senior, you have to be able to be in control of your emotions.
Maybe I might have said, I'll say this. Let me change my wording there.
Okay.
He has immaturity issues, and it shows. But then you see the catch against Florida in the back of the end zone, which was it was a great catch, but it was an even better throw by Cam Ward. Then he replicates the same thing against Louisville, and it's like, okay, you could see a good number 4 receiver out of him. Will he be some top end receiver? Probably not. Yeah. But he could be a nice number 4 deep ball guy. He can get off the line. He has traits.
Yeah.
Developable traits that you can develop. But the immaturity at the NFL, could you imagine Pat Mahomes, that happening when Pat Mahomes throws you a great ball and you kill a drive? Or could you imagine Mike Tomlin getting a hold of him and just getting him on the sideline at the end of that?
And we've seen more talented players, George Pickens, have issues, and Mike Tomlin over there screaming, and you see the paint peeling off of the helmet.
Marquise Pouncey getting upset, wanting to just kill a guy, and just man, you need to chill out.
Yeah, but imagine Jacobe George, who probably won't be as high a draft pick as either of those guys, or as integral to the operation. You can't be that guy who has those emotional outbursts if you're not then providing substantial impact positively with your play as well. Like George Pickens, you can kirk out because like you're also going to jump over 5 dudes 7 times a game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Big fact.
Moss, let me get that. You know, so like it's one of those things. So yeah, speaking of jumping over dudes, because he did it at the Shrine Bowl, and honestly, I saw it and I said, who is this number 15 on this Shrine Bowl roster with this Miami helmet? Sam Brown looked like Superman in that game. What do you think that his potential fit in, or in the draft could be?
So I remember him when he was at Houston with Shannon Dawson, and I always remember just seeing this dude. Who is this big, tall, fast dude? And I'm like, and then he comes to Miami, and the problem with him at Miami is, who is he taking snaps away from? He's not taking them from Restrepo. He's not taking them from Arroyo. He's not taking them from George. We're handing the ball off a little bit. It's hard to Isaiah Horton and Isaiah Horton's over there. Like, I get mine too. Where are you getting,
from Sam Brown? He took snaps from both Jacobe George and Isaiah Horton. That was kind of your 3-man rotation at X and Z. Like, they were all 3 kind of equal, and basically you're going 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, and then going trips. So Arroyo is going to be in there, Restrepo is going to be in there, and if you go to with only 2 receivers, it's going to be Restrepo and one of these guys. But like, he played starters snaps, so I think there was an even rotation there. But yeah, height, weight, speed. Do you think that he tests really well? Do you think that he runs from 4.5? Like, what are we thinking?
I think he runs really well, actually. I was at the USF game this year, and I just saw the ball he caught down the sideline, and I was like, oh my gosh, who? And from where we were, it was kind of hard to tell. And I'm like, oh, that's Sam Brown. Oh, Sam Brown's kind of fast. He still got it. And for me, I think he runs low 4.4s, which is, for his size, is going to be really, really helpful, because he's 6'2", 6'3". I'll say probably 205, 210, maybe
somewhere in there. Yeah,
somewhere in there for a guy that side. Now, route running is a thing, but if you're the number 4, you're just running a deep route. You're running a big post. You're running a go. He's outside. There's not a lot of routes you're going to run outside if you're the deep guy. You're just not. That is what it is. So if he's unadulterated speed, if he gets into the 4.3s at that size, you could say 6 rounder goes up to, maybe that bumps him up around, which still, I mean, that's a check. That's a check.
Yeah, that's a real check.
That's a real check. And if you view him as a 5th rounder, then 4th round, that's still a check. And depending on the quarterback you get, that's a starter. That's a rotational guy.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Well, I'm gonna tell the people like this, because what I always say when you're talking about those round fits or whatever. It takes one team.
Yep.
I know people are, if you go back to the section we're talking about Arroyo, man, he couldn't be a 1st rounder. He could be a 1st rounder in Kansas City. I'm not saying that he's going to go everywhere, but it takes but one. So yeah, if Sam Brown or Jacobe George or whatever, run really, really well, it takes one team to say, you know what? I've seen him in a couple spots. I like those traits. I can coach that up. Maybe it's a 4. Maybe, I don't think 3 is in play, but if you have, the ghost of Al Davis, God rest his soul, still drafting for the Raiders, and he runs 4.35, you might think, third round, Miami whatever.
Miami has a history of wide receivers. I mean, that's are we wide receiver you anymore? No. There's other places, and we don't want to talk about those people. But the thing is, we have a history of good players that go to this draft. Philip Dorsett has 2 rings. Just saying. And I mean, was he the best?
Is still making a check in the league.
KJ Osborne is getting a check. I mean, he's not ours. I'm gonna say he's ours because he's played with us.
Look, he wasn't going to get drafted out of Buffalo. He came to Miami to raise his profile and got drafted, played for the Vikings for a good long time. I know he's moved on from there, but like that was a guy who was like, hey, I'm trying to make it right now. And did the work to get there. Braxton Berrios, still in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that because there are people who are still mad at me when I wrote years ago that I was okay with taking Braxton Berrios over Joystick McKenzie from American Heritage when they were in the same recruiting class. One of those dudes is still in the league, and one of those is not. And the one that is went to Miami and was the one that we took. Hey, you ain't got to like it. You ain't got to love it, but it's the truth.
Big facts. Big facts. I mean, even having, and I'm going back a while, but even seeing guys like Alan Hearns, who, despite before the injury, hung around in the league for a long time. We produce receivers and running backs like no one else. Leonard Hankerson I remember meeting Leonard Hankerson at the Senior Bowl, and I just remembered him I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy. And everybody's like, man, you're just a regular guy. You're just regular. And I'm like, it's something different in Miami, guys. We can't explain it, but you just have to see it.
It's a Canes thing. You wouldn't understand. You know what I mean?
There you go.
We just keep it moving. So, I mentioned him earlier. Jaylen Rivers, quick thoughts on him at the combine.
So I think he profiles more for me as that utility 6 guy on your offensive line. And I think he's going to be, and he showed it. He played guard and tackle. And we have pieces that we can make people move. I mean, it is what it is. When you block out the sun, it's kind of hard to get back. But I think he'll test okay. I think he fits better at guard. That size on the inside, you can coach it more. You can protect him a little bit more. I think the physical drills are where he's going to stand out, bench press, things like that. That's where he's going to excel. And the interviews, because the interviews are huge.
Yeah.
Could he be a John Feliciano type career guy? Possibly, because those guys hang around and they end up being starters somewhere in this league. Yeah.
And Jaylen Rivers himself, when asked what he saw his position being in the NFL at the Senior Bowl, he said, look, I can play anywhere. I'm down for that. I think I started at left guard in Miami, started at left tackle at Miami. They even had him work at center at the Senior Bowl. But he himself said, I'd probably fit at guard. That's where I think that I could settle, be the biggest value add of the NFL, and then, carve out a career. So I would say, looking more to that guard who can potentially slide to tackle with injuries and things like that. But I think that he's going to be a valuable player. What round are we thinking on Jaylen Rivers? We're thinking 5, we're thinking 6. Where are we at?
Mid five. Someone found some value, especially teams. Again, I know I'm mentioning Kansas City, but I keep seeing teams that need offensive line help. Kansas City, Cincinnati, teams that really need to protect their quarterback because their quarterback gets hit a lot. I mean, it makes sense. It just makes sense.
Look, for me, I mean, obviously bringing my fandom in, I know at Detroit, we're cycling away from, guys at the end of their career, your Kevin Zeitlers, your Frank Radnows, inside, and we need new guys in that, to step in as we're other guys are transitioning out. So that could be a fit, as well. But I'm sure that there are plenty of teams where he could fit. But I think that 5th round pick could work. This is a guy who is a off the bus all-star. Like you see
I know who you're talking about.
You're like, oh my God, sign me up. Big, tall, strong-looking He-Man dude who doesn't always play that way. What are your thoughts on defensive lineman Tyler Barron?
Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And it hurts because the beginning of the year, he came out like gangbusters. And it was like, he was, we say he was beating tackles like the rent was due. For real. And then it was like, okay. And mind you, there's no Ruben Bain here. So it's not like, Ruben Bain's on the other side. No. He was getting it off the muscle. And it was like, then what happened? It was just like, we throw a double team to you. We throw a little chip to you. And it's like, okay. Cinderella, it's over now. I I don't see how you draft him. I don't see how he's draftable, but I could easily see somebody saying, "Hey, we'll take a preferred free agent run at you. Hey, take a check, pick the team you want to go to, and if you really want it, go get it."
So you don't think that he's draftable at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think he's a 6 or a 7, maybe, and I think because he's going to test incredibly because he is a big, tall, strong, fast athlete. Like he has all those traits. The thing for me is what you said is Tyler Barron struggled as the season went on. And unfortunately for him, that is a common trend. So I'm going to go through his year-by-year sack numbers with you right now. I have them up on the screen or up on my screen. In 2020, his first year, he had 1 sack. It came against Florida in December. So 1 sack. He's a true freshman, whatever. Cool. 2021, man's had 4 sacks. How many of those sacks came after? Well, actually, no. 1.5 sacks in November, 1 sack in October, 1.5 in September. So, okay, rotationally, he spread out a little bit through the year. Let's go to 2022. Had 2.5 sacks. 1 against Pittsburgh, half against Kentucky, 1 against Missouri, spread out a little bit through the season. All right. Now he steps into a starting role at Tennessee in 2023. Had 6 sacks. 4 of those sacks came in September against Virginia, Austin Peay, and UTSA. So he had 2 sacks again in the SEC. 1 against Texas A&M, and then 1 against Vanderbilt, who was Vanderbilt then. So really,
they were Vanderbilt. Wow.
Hey, Vanderbilt, y'all already know Vanderbilt was my dream school. I wanted to go there, but I'm gonna keep it a stat. If you go to 2024 here in Miami, right?
Can I stop you real quick?
What up?
His last year at Tennessee, he had a guy that could get drafted in the first round on the other side of him, and their D line was deep. Their D line's real deep. To me, and still lackluster. That's the concerning part for me.
In his 1 year at Miami, Tyler Barron had 5.5 sacks.
With a D line,
go ahead.
And with a D line that was, I'm not gonna say comparable to Tennessee, but as Ruben Bain on the other side of you, Simeon Barrow in the middle, Mesidor in the middle.
But you need Tyler Barron to be one of those foundational guys. 4.5 of his 5.5 sacks came in the first 3 weeks of the season. He had 1 at Florida, 3 against FAMU, half against Ball State, and we didn't see him again on the stat sheet for a sack until Syracuse in the regular season finale, my boy.
I asked you middle ways through the season, I said, is Tyler Barron hurt? Because either he's hurt or somebody else is playing in a number 9 jersey. And you said that's him, and I just took your word for it because I'm sorry, that doesn't – I expect you to get 3 sacks against FAMU. No disrespect to one of the great HBCUs out there, but the talent level is that the gap is like this. That's the gap. It's huge. So,
he played. He had a tackle against USF. He had 2 against Virginia Tech. He had a tackle at Cal, a tackle at Louisville, 2 against 1 against Florida State, 2 against Duke. Got shut out in the next 2 games, and then had 3 and kind of had a resurgence against Syracuse. So he played. I'm looking at but after September. It's maybe we needed to play the song, to wake him up when September ended because he wasn't effectual, but he's big, fast, and strong. So it's going to be that.
Maybe he's a third down. Maybe does he profile as a third down specialist?
But does he get home?
This is true.
If it's, and I went through the stats for 5 years, Fred. He doesn't have or did not in his college career. Maybe this changes. In his college career, he was ineffectual after the month of September, which is when you're playing the teams that you are overmatched against at Tennessee and again at Miami when your talent is so much higher. Bro, what do you want me to do?
You can't force him to be great. And I mean, it reminds me of there was a certain player.
Same name.
No, because he was hurt, and I can't compare him to that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That's disrespectful to him because he's a Super Bowl champion now, and actually, I think he's a 2-time champ, and I don't want to do that to him. No, never mind.
Cool.
Never mind.
Kiko Mauigoa, linebacker. What are we thinking?
6th, 7th round. Okay. Honestly, he's a 2-down guy. For the life of me this year, I said, man, for year 1, Kiko, you were great. You were the heartbeat of that defense.
Yeah.
And then it was like we figured out how to make sure he's ineffective. He can blitz the quarterback. That's his superpower. He can blitz the quarterback, but how that doesn't help you at the NFL level when we're spreading you out sideline to sideline more and more. You're not covering. We're definitely not covering guys like James Cook. We're not covering guys like Alvin Kamara. So how do you help me against the running backs? You can't cover a tight end. You're a 2-down guy playing the run. You're a leader on the team. It's not enough to profile to being a starter. You may be you'll be a backup, a special teams guy, but it's hard for me to see him go higher than that, to be honest.
Cool. Do you take any stock into the fact that in the coverage drills at the Shrine Bowl, Kiko Mauigoa was actually a standout player, even against other draft caliber guys? He actually did well in those coverage drills. Does that impact your opinion either way?
I think it makes me go back and look at the tape and see what was wrong and what was going on with Miami's defense, because defensively Miami was a mess and a half. And between guys not being lined up, maybe it's a coaching point. It makes me go want to reevaluate the tape, but it still makes me look at his athletic profile is not much more than maybe a half a round. So instead of being a 6th rounder, maybe you're a bottom end of the 5th round. So it's not much of a difference. It still doesn't make me want to go after a guy, especially at linebacker, because we look at linebacker, his style of linebacker. He's not a run and chase guy where he's running sideline to sideline. He's a downhill stop the run guy. So that kills his value. If you're covering tight ends, you're covering running backs, maybe, but he just didn't show it.
Okay, cool. Gonna go rapid fire to close out. So I do have a list of the athletic drills from the combine. So I'm gonna list the drill, and I want you to, out of the guys from Miami who are going, who do you think performs the best? Okay. 40-yard dash. Who runs the fastest?
Arroyo.
Okay. Bench press 225.
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun. Rivers.
Okay.
I don't know. I would love to know what his arm length is, because that's a big part of it. But he's a strong player. He has good game strength. So yeah, Jaylen Rivers.
Broad jump.
Ooh. Sam Brown. He's probably the best outside of Arroyo, best athlete, pure athlete. Right. So yeah, Sam Brown.
All right. 3-cone change of direction drill.
Restrepo, don't play with me.
Do you think that Restrepo will be, or so, like, are you thinking he's going to be a top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20 overall in the change of direction? Like, what do you think he's going to do there? 5 to 7,
because there are some really good athletes out there, especially at that receiver position. Yeah, some good ones. So yeah, 5 to 7, especially for his size and just seeing what he does on the field. Yeah, that pivot route is like one of his favorites.
Yeah. Okay. 20-yard shuttle. So that's where you start in the middle, 5 one way, 10 the other way, 5 back to the middle. Drill.
Maybe Barron is such an athlete, but I don't think Jacobe
George on the 20-yard shuttle?
Yeah, Jacobe George, because seeing how he can get back and forth quickly, especially Jacobe.
Okay. the longer shuttle, the 60-yard shuttle?
That might be a Sam Brown thing too because of the long speed. The long,
Okay.
yeah.
Vertical jump.
Arroyo.
Interesting. Okay.
Arroyo.
All right. And then past that, you have position-specific drills. So, they're not necessarily analogous across the whole group because, everybody
does Restrepo drop a ball on the gauntlet?
No.
No. Does any receiver really stand? Or actually, for you, between Sam Brown and Jacobe George, does either one really stand out?
I think they both have the opportunity to stand out. I think that the gauntlet is more Jacobe George's strength, where the routes on air and one-on-ones going vertical specifically is more the Sam Brown standout thing.
Right.
I think that there are drills for each. I think the gauntlet is more Restrepo, obviously, boom. And then Jacobe George of those two. And then in the other drills, maybe Sam Brown because it just fits his skill set, I think, a little bit better.
Got you.
Cool. If, just to wrap it up, let's bring it back to, the guy with my name, because he got to start name with Cam. If Cam Ward decides to participate, what do you think it's more likely that he does, athletic testing or throwing?
Athletic testing. If his agent tells him to throw, or if he just decides to buck the system and throw, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just you're going into the unknown.
Yeah.
Versus athletic testing, I actually hope he runs a 40. I encourage quarterbacks to run a 40, and based off of his game tape, I think he'll run a faster 40 than people think, and I think it would kind of close the door on that whole argument between the other guy and at that other school.
Yeah.
So I think that would kind of close the door. But yeah, I think it would be athletic testing. I don't think he's going to throw it all.
Okay, cool. Dope. Well, there you have it, guys. We've kind of broken down the NFL draft combine, what we're expecting to see from the Miami Hurricanes who go there. And basically, like I said, just bringing our phone calls live to you guys. So, let us know what you think. Should Cam Ward participate? What do you want to see from him and everything? But, as always, thanks for, just joining us here on the Voice of College Football Miami Hurricanes channel. Be sure you like and subscribe to the video. Be sure that you check us out at stateoftheu.com where, this and other things will be posted and written, as we try to lead the way into the combine. And we will catch you the next time. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Go Canes.
Go Canes.